Athena is a very challenging SNK arcade classic platformer game. Now, when I say very challenging, this may be the most outrageously difficult platformer I have ever played. Recording this footage was a challenge. On the PlayStation 3 or PSP, as this is a minis game and will work on either piece of hardware, you have the option to have one save state. So I would play a little bit, save, and then continue playing because the game was so challenging that I had absolutely no hope of getting from one end of the level to the other without dying a grisly death. Now, you do have multiple lives, but if you start midway through a level, you're not going to have all of your power-ups and you're going to be kinda screwed. So once I started using the save state, I actually managed to get into the game. And keep in mind, this is on the easy difficulty level. Basically, if an enemy starts attacking you, you're done. So you might as well just reload that save and try to go through again. I've seen other people on YouTube playing this game, and I bow to their superior skill. Perhaps I'm just not a very good game player. Now, I'm talking about its intense difficulty, but I still enjoyed my experience with this game. It's very inexpensive, and I do like how the game works in theory. There are lots of RPG elements where your character starts by falling into this world and out of her dress and running around in her underoos, basically, and you pick up new weapons. You start out with a basic kick attack and you get a club, and then you get either an axe or a hammer. I can't really tell what it's supposed to be. And eventually you get better weapons which increase your attack stat, which is shown on the right side as your power. You also pick up various articles of armor, and if you get, say, two of the same piece of armor, it changes color and becomes a stronger version of that piece of armor. You can find other items that increase your health and how big your health bar is. You can find special items that just increase your overall armor rating. So there's a lot of complexity to this game, and you are rewarded for exploring and digging around through the breakable blocks looking for better pieces of equipment and armor. And luckily I saw on YouTube how to get the laser sword, which works very much like in The Legend of Zelda, where you swing your sword and it shoots a laser when it's fully upgraded. So once I got that, I was able to make a little more of a push into the game, but I still had to rely on the save states, and if I screwed up, I'd go back. When you get to the first world's boss, you need that ranged attack, either the laser sword or the bow and arrow, and you need to dodge the projectiles that the boss is throwing at you while throwing out your projectiles. If you do not have a projectile weapon, you're boned. However, there's multiple routes. One of the first times I made it to level 2, I was underground on the bottom part of level 1 and just found a warp that took me to the second level without having to fight the boss. So there's a lot of opportunity to explore and find things, and I've barely scratched the surface of this game because of the intense difficulty. However, I do recognize that there are people out there that are looking for very challenging games. So if you're a fan of platforming games and you love an intense challenge, this may be a game for you. I like the concept. I like the way it plays. I like the way it controls. It's just that the difficulty is just a little bit out of my zone of skill. So I had to fall back onto the save states. Now, perhaps after playing this game a little bit more, knowing where everything's at, I would be able to go through it without the save states. I did notice that, let's say level, I think it's 3 or 4, where you fall into the water and you get a mermaid suit. That level was a little bit easier than the earlier levels. I was able to go through it without having to rely so heavily on the save states. So this game is very challenging. The more you play it, the better you will get. The more you explore, the better off you'll be. But I wouldn't blame you for checking YouTube for a few strategies. Overall, I had a positive experience with this game. The difficulty didn't turn me off. I kept coming back to it to try and get better. So I recommend this game for the truly brave, those that are not faint of heart looking for an intense platforming challenge.